Good morning. My name is Paddy Hogan. I'm on the PE Secretary QTS course, and this is...
Alex Huddleston. I'm doing football coaching and performance.
This is the podcast we're doing. It's called The Next Rung. So the idea is to interview alumni that have left the uni and ask them about how they found their uni experience, what they're doing now, why they did it, etc., etc. Alex, anything else to add to that?
That's really how are you doing today, Paddy?
I'm all right, mate.
Excellent.
Yeah, not too
Fantastic.
bad.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's
Top
get
man.
into it.
Let's get into it.
Nice one. Good morning and welcome to The Next Rung. Today we are joined by James Chadburn. Hello, James.
Hello.
Who graduated from University of Chichester in year...
2018.
2018 in PESC, so PE and sports coaching. Is that right?
So I graduated PESC, PE Sports Coaching in 2016, and then I went to do a part-time 2-year Masters, which was in Sports Psychology and Exercise Science.
Oh,
so
nice.
I graduated that in 2018.
Fantastic. James, your current role and the path you've taken to get there, tell us a little bit more about that. So why did you want to follow the path that you've gone down?
Excuse me, currently I work for the ambulance service.
Yeah.
So something completely away from what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit of history really. I was a chef back in 2013. When I left school, I became a chef. My dad owned a restaurant, so I started doing that, running his restaurant for about 6 years. Did a part-time business degree while I was that. But chefing was something I was good at, not something that I wanted a career out of.
Sure.
It's a hard life, really, really hard life. But I wanted to support my dad, so did that. And then I decided that I wanted to do something for myself, and I was always been into my sport. I never focused on one. When I was a kid, I got to play anything and everything that I wanted. I was very lucky. My parents afforded me the opportunity to do whatever I wanted, really. So I just... sport, I thought, well, be a PE teacher. Nice. So I saw that Chichester, did PE sports coaching. Back then it wasn't put into different degrees, it was PE sports coaching, and then you would basically pick modules to sort of whether you wanted to do primary or secondary or coaching. So I learned quite quickly after, say, the first year that the teaching side wasn't for me. I much preferred the coaching side. Yeah. I preferred that environment rather than the classroom environment with kids. So focused on the coaching, started my own coaching business with a fellow student that was here, and that was in 2015. And then in my third year, 2016, I chose psychology as my route way. And just fell in love with it. So I decided that rather than going on to do the QTS back then, I think the same here is now, I do the Masters instead. I was very close to a lot of the department here at University of Chichester, and still am. And I decided that actually they were a massive inspiration as to why I got onto the Masters, and that I did want to do teaching, but at a higher level, hence the Masters as well. So I was given the opportunity to do some associate lecturing in my first year of my Masters, so 2016. That was on the PE course, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I worked really closely with one of the lecturers here, Jane Lomax, who I know now has left. And basically she took me under her wing. So for the first year, did the odd bits filling in for lectures that weren't available or for where they needed some extra support. And then after that, the second year, I kind of got more of a full-time rota, as it were, with them, but still as an associate. Loved it. I was gunning for a full-time position. Unfortunately, at that particular point in 2018, 2019, financially, I had to think about my own stability. And so I needed a full-time role. So unfortunately, I had to leave the industry, which was a real shame.
That is a shame, yeah.
I did look for other lecturing jobs, but sports psychology is quite niche.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't much around.
No.
So, I was also a part-time firefighter in Hampshire.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I did the lecturing, my business, and the firefighting. So I for some reason I don't like to do nothing.
No.
I don't know what it's like to sit down and just
No, don't like
stare
to
at the
just twiddle
sky.
your
So
thumbs, yeah.
yeah, and the fire service was really, again, inspiring and sort of helped me onto this path within the services as a secondary option for me. So
Fantastic.
yeah, that's kind of from leaving school, chefing, uni, and now something completely different.
I don't know what I was expecting from that, but it wasn't that. Like, that's a real range of stuff there that you've done. You know, like from chefing to healthcare to emergency services to coaching and teaching. Yeah, that's amazing.
I just like to, sadly, I like to fill up my time, but I also like to get experience. So some people like to go on holiday, you know, see the world. It's weirdly for me, I just like to keep busy and gain new experiences. In the university, it inspired me in so many areas. It wasn't just lecturing. Mm-hmm. It inspired me within a sport called handball. Yeah. So I started to play handball in my first year, 2013, and that was just through the course naturally because it was one of the modules that we had, and just fell in love with the sport, but B, something clicked in the back of my head thinking this is a very relatively new sport to the country. There's a lot of uniqueness about it and a lot of potential opportunity, knowing that the NGB was quite small at the time. So we, as a few of us from the PE course, decided to start a handball team here. So that was 2014.
Okay.
So I played that for my first year, and then from second year onwards, decided to, because I wanted the coaching side of things rather than the teaching, decided to get my qualifications in handball and spend a lot of voluntary time in schools, local schools. How I manage my time without a secretary, I don't know. No. But my diary, I usually look at my diary and think, okay, I've got a spare hour there, or a spare minute there. What can I do to fill it up?
Imagine what you would be capable of if you did have a secretary.
Yeah. So in 2018, after coaching the university team for a year, I decided to start my own club. Wow. So I started that with 2 people, and it's gone from strength to strength, and still going today. And we use the university facilities, and brilliant. Yeah, we're here twice a week. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, as Paddy mentioned, it's like quite staggering the kind of variety of experiences you've had. What would you say you've taken from each one of those that you now use day to day?
I think probably the biggest thing for me is people skills.
Okay.
I came into the uni after being a chef, so being a manager, being a leader, no real training in that. Although my business degree was partially management leadership based, I've always just been a very good communicator. But it's developed massively, and that's purely through experience of people. And that's experience of a different people, and then the university gives a lot of opportunity to see different people from different, whether they're international or whether they're local. Sometimes you can get caught up in a bubble, particularly if you are local and you go to a local university, you don't get to experience other places, which it was for me. I am local, and I love being local, but I knew that I had to kind of get some more experience with different people. So the chefing was great. A great start, but I look back at that now and think I'm a completely different person. I would do so many different things to what I did back then, even though it was a great success back then. I think now what I could do.
I'm just going to ask you probably a difficult question, but what is one thing, like, I know you mentioned about chefing, but what is one thing that you would do differently if you could just pick one? If you say. When you say about, there's loads of things that could do differently, what do you really consider like the main?
I think right now, if I look back at the lecturing, perhaps I could have tried a bit harder to find something, but a lot of the lecturing that was available was up either in the Midlands or up north in the country. Okay. And I didn't want to move because this is my home. Yeah. So that kind of puts up a barrier, along the south coast, there's all sorts of universities and colleges, and I spent 6 months in Chichester College when I was doing my masters, because that was the one area that the PE course didn't give me. It gave me secondary and primary experience, but not college experience. So I said to myself, right, if I'm going to be taken seriously in my role, then I want to have experience across the board. And I knew that because I potentially was going to be teaching on a PE course that revolves a lot around teaching, and I've not got experience teaching, had to come up with something else, really. And that was kind of where the coaching went, and making sure I got the experience. So potentially I could have tried a bit harder to find something in sports psychology and continued that, because really, you know, I've got all these academic achievements, but I'm not even using them to their potential.
Right. Yeah.
And it does sit at the back of my mind sometimes, thinking, you know, I've got a master's, I've got 2 other degrees, and yet I'm doing something completely different. But then I always go back to the fact that, okay, I've gained so much experience. I am still doing sport coaching.
Yeah.
So I'm still in that world.
Yeah.
And it does influence how I run my club and how I do my coaching, etc. So I'm not completely away from it.
Yeah.
But I have very much fallen in love with my current role.
Good.
And I'm working very hard to make that my new career.
I think the other thing is, as well, it's not always as straightforward as go into education, get your degree or qualification in that role, and then work in that line of work or expertise.
It's not at all.
No. Stuff occurs, things change, don't they? And circumstances change. And if you're happy doing what you're doing now,
I mean, my cohort when I started in 2013 was about 130 strong.
Oh, okay.
After the first few months, we went down to about 115, something like that. But out of that, I would probably say half didn't go into the industry after.
Wow.
Okay.
It's not just because of the availability of jobs. It's because sometimes people get into the university for the wrong reasons, and I'm kind of stand out for that. I came in thinking I wanted to be a PE teacher because I liked sport.
Right.
That was my only influence. I'd never got any experience as a PE teacher. Never gone into a school and experienced that.
Yeah.
But because I loved sport, I thought that was a natural transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that's where some people make that mistake. But if you come in at 18, 19, you're not to know that. You know, you're not, because why would you? I came in obviously as a mature student at 23, which I came in with a very, very different, not set of principles, but outlook. You know, I'd spent since leaving school, last 5-6 years working full time in a difficult industry, in a full-on industry. So I had my motivations, I had my the areas that I wanted to get out and achieve. And after the first year, realising that I didn't want to be a teacher, it's like that 8 ball you shake up and think, oh, what's next then? Do you know what I mean? Because you kind of, you know, the reason you've come in for, you've decided isn't the reason that I want to be here anymore. But luckily the course allowed me to have that natural progression into coaching.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So if it was just a teaching course, I don't know where I'd be now, because I definitely wouldn't have continued.
No.
So I feel very lucky that there was the coaching element and that psychology element, and the opportunity for me to go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be very difficult for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say, coming as a mature student, I had a very different kind of outlook on life in some respects, and I knew the value of experience. I knew the value of working hard to get somewhere. And as it's probably a cliche as it sounds, you get a lot of places in life by the people that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no good. There was a saying on the course: if there's 130 of you, what makes you individual?
Yeah.
Because if all those 130 people go for that one job, what's going to make you different? And that's the key. You've got to be different. You've got to bring something else to the table, whether that's voluntary work, whether that's a unique sport, you know. I think that I took that literally, and just all of my spare time, I was either in schools, working on setting up this business, working hard at my course. You know, I finished my undergrad. I was like a mark and a half off a first. That was really tough because all my psychology work was all first work. But that gave me the confidence to go on to do the masters. I wouldn't say I regret anything. I'd say I'd spend more time doing a lot more of my essays.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is, and I've got a lot out of it.
Yeah,
So.
brilliant. James, I'm 23 in a week or a bit, so it's quite disturbing to hear I'll be a mature student next semester. It's also great. It's great to hear you're in love with the job you're doing now, though. What's the best thing about that, you'd say?
People.
Sure.
The people. I just love being around people that have similar interests, that have a passion for what we do, and so I get it from my mum. I'm a people person. I'm a caring person, and so it kind of fits in really well with this job. I've come to accept that. I think if I wanted to try and get back into psychology and all that, I think that ship's unfortunately sailed. Being out of the industry so long now, so I've had to refocus. And so I still use the psychology in my handball club, and I'd say. Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just the people that enjoy, both staff and just the people that I see. Yeah, you do come across people that aren't particularly nice. You know, they're abusive. Yeah. They appreciate what you do, but I'm not out for myself. I'm out for them. Yeah. So, yeah.
What about the challenges? It might also be people, but run us through that.
In my current role.
Yeah.
So in the ambulance service, challenges. I mean, I'm progressing through, so I've just got on to a student paramedic apprenticeship. Okay. So I went in as it's called an ECA, emergency care assistant. It's basically sort of the starting role in the ambulance service if you haven't come from like a paramedic degree, for instance. So on an ambulance around this area, you'll have an ECA and a paramedic on an ambulance, and we effectively are an assistant to the paramedic. I've been there now. In February, it'll be 3 years, and it's a natural. But if you want it to be, it's a natural progression to go on to be paramedic, and I absolutely do.
Good.
Yeah,
that's good that you got a vision as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you were happy with your current role, and now it's encouraging that you can see yourself progressing and going forward into. Hopefully a paramedic role as well. I
have got a 10-year plan in the respect of the fact that I know that this apprenticeship is 2 years. And after that, similar to an NQT, you have an NQP 2 years, so newly qualified paramedic. Yeah. So that's a 4-year goal just to get me to a qualified paramedic. And after that, within that 10 years, I'd like to go management, just because that's what's natural to me. Leadership management is just natural to me. So that's the direction I want to go.
Just going back a little bit to what you said about knowing the value of stuff as a mature student. I'm a mature student as well, so I'm 26. So I started uni at 25. And it was a bit strange going from full-time work to education to submitting assignments and meeting a different type of deadline. Not getting work done, but getting academic work done. And I think you come in with a different head on your shoulders as well, don't you?
I think you do, but also there are positives and negatives to that because of academic work. Yeah. It's very, very different to what you do at school. And I know that in college now, they do start to introduce referencing and that, which is good. I never knew that. And I only got that from experience that I went to college. Because I didn't go to college, I went to sixth form at my school locally. And to be honest, I just used it as social time. I sat around not caring. Yeah. I did a design technology A-level, an ICT A-level, which is ironic because I'm useless with computers, honestly.
Do you not just turn it off and turn it on again? Yeah. That's always what
well, once it's on, that's when the struggles begin.
That's when you turn it off.
Yeah. So, it's kind of ironic. And I got E's. So it was really my business foundation degree that got me onto the PE course, and the fact that I'd had a bit of life experience. Yeah. Because a lot of it was to do with the interview. I was quite lucky in respect that I got my C's in maths and English, although I had to redo my maths in my first year
I can relate,
of college, of sixth form. So for anyone listening that thinks GCSEs don't mean anything, you've got to get your Cs. You know, that is the minimum. After, if you don't, you're going to have to go back to college and do it.
Or fours now, is that fours or fives?
Oh, I know. I have to get everyone to explain it to me. I still don't quite understand.
I don't understand the whole.
No, I don't.
Nines and A**, whatever that is.
I do, because I went back and did my maths so late that they were then numbers, so I had a bit of an understanding. But for everything, all I know is that C is 4, and that's what I got. Like you, James, I had to go back and do my maths, which is why I'm here today, which I'm very thankful for. You touched on your business certificate as well, your business degree as well. How do you feel that, or your undergrad, or even your masters? How do you think that sort of helped, sort of prepared you for where you are today? How do you feel like any skills that you learnt in either of those things?
Oh, massively. I mean, it's quite ironic that in the service that I'm in now, I've had to do something called a bridging course. Okay, and that bridging course is to get me onto the apprenticeship. And effectively, this bridging course is for those that haven't gone to higher education. It starts at level 3 and finishes at level 4. So effectively, the apprenticeship is 2 years, so you do level 5 and 6. Now, they wouldn't take into consideration that I've already got level 7. So I've had to go back and do level 3 and 4 work.
Okay.
It being very easy for me. So I've got through it. In some respects, it's a waste of my time. In other respects, I didn't have that attitude because I learnt so much. There was still so much to learn. You know, I'm not an ignorant person to think I know everything.
No.
And if I can grab at any experience or any knowledge that people want to throw at me, then fantastic. So I've just spent the last 6 months doing that, and that's allowed me to get on to the apprenticeship. So, the masters, the degrees, it's made me not worry about academic writing. I am, and my foundation degree, coming into PE, I didn't feel that my academic writing was very good at all. It wasn't really until my second year of the PE course that my academic writing was really starting to work for me and to make a lot of sense. Because it is difficult. It's not a skill that people just have naturally. In terms of professionalism, in terms of my writing, I would say that the courses have done amazing for me, particularly as I'm now having to go on to this apprenticeship, which, annoyingly, is another degree. So it's a bit of a joke in the family. I've already got 3. I'm now about to have a 4th degree. It's a bit of a running joke, and it's unfortunately it was something that I didn't really have a choice in for the paramedic course, so it's a standard now that they have to do. So, so I'm not worried about the academic writing, and weirdly I like it. I enjoy it. And It was always quite funny when the lecturers came back to me, because I don't actually think they knew I had a master or my past. And so the feedback was just, wow, this is so far beyond this, you know.
You're a natural.
I'm thinking, she hasn't read my CV, has she?
Oh, listen, James, I think, you know, hearing all of that, people, you know, don't be worried about your A-levels if you're listening, because you've gone on to do a master's. You can be collecting degrees left, right and centre. You know, what I think that's a really great story to hear. What kind of, you know, it's... And as you said, I think it's been really cool linking, you know, you've got all these degrees, but actually you're taking skills and knowledge wherever you can get them, even when you're doing, you know, level 3 and 4 work, which, you know, you're sort of beyond now. But actually you're not above that, and you've been taking all those skills and knowledge. So what skills and knowledge have you really been able to apply in your current roles that you've taken from some of those degrees?
The ability to communicate, I think, with anyone really, because going through the masters in psychology, it's very much kind of a one-on-one thing, because it's how do you question people that doesn't bring bias, that doesn't put words in their mouth, because in psychology you're looking for them to tell you, not for me to suggest.
Right.
So if I'm going to support someone, I might have watched, for instance, you two play football, and I might have my own ideas of how I can improve you. That's a part, but also getting out of you what you want, where you think you lack, where you think you're doing well. So the communication side was a massive part of the Masters. So for me, I use that an awful lot in my current role, because I've got to be able to speak with anyone and everyone, whether that's in a really high intense situation or whether that's just the little old grandma who's fallen on the floor that needs picking up, needs a cup of tea, needs a bit of reassurance. You've just got to have that care and empathy, and you've got to have that communication across such a wide range, because everyone is so different. So I think the communication side for me as well, but then the professionalism. I have a fun side, but I think that the Masters and the university and being that mature student, and the second and third year, I think I was the year rep for PE course, so there was a bit of responsibility with that. I've just always been used to leading people and helping people. Even when I was at school, there was a mentorship course back in 2006, and I applied for that and helped students. So I've always just been in this mentoring, supporting, caring role in my life. So I think really all of my experiences has led to where I am now, and certainly helped. I get a lot of good feedback about who I am and my personality. I'm a very, very bubbly, happy person. I just feel like if I can come in today and make my crewmate happy and let them have a good day and an easier day, then I know I've done my day well. It's the communication, but also that professionality, which I think is so important and gets you places. If you are seen to be professional, if you're seen to be this person, whether you're doing voluntary work or whether you're just walking in the street, and you say hello to someone. That shows a lot about you and a person and your, what you want to get out of life.
Did you feel like you were wasted then not wasted in terms of ability, but like some of those interpersonal skills when you were in the kitchen chefing? Did you feel like, I'd really like to be somewhere where I could use these a little bit more? Because whilst you could use some of them, it's not the most sociable job, is it? So would you...
I don't think necessarily with the staff and the customers. I think because my dad was the owner and my stepmum was the owner, if I was to go back now and do it again, I would look to have more influence and more direction for them. Because I very much was under the shadow of my dad. He's my boss, and I would very rarely say anything against what he wanted, even if I thought it was better to do it a different way, because not everyone's perfect. There's not one way of doing something. So I think I would go back and I would be a much stronger manager and leader now. And that I do weirdly think about that an awful lot, because I do miss the kitchen. I love cooking. So at home, I'm the cook.
Amazing.
For the family events, for Christmas, I cook. So
are you looking forward to it then? There's a couple of weeks' time?
Well, I'm actually working Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. So I think I'm cooking Boxing Day, but we're not having like a big roast. We're just having,
Sure. It's right, you'll be saving lives.
Sitting in the back with drunks.
James, you touched on, you said that some of the staff from this uni took you under their wing, and you said a lot of it is about the people that you sort of know. But was there anything in particular that helped you sort of get to where you are today? Like either some support you received or any single bit of advice? Is there anything that you clearly remember and you think, that's a big influence as to where I am today?
Excuse me. I think the biggest thing for me when I was at university is I was not afraid to ask for help. I was not afraid to admit that I was wrong or understand and learn from being wrong. Excuse me. I came in wanting to be a PE teacher and then quickly realised I didn't want to be a PE teacher. So that kind of changes how you present yourself. And I think it was really sort of second and third year where because of my personality, because I'm very happy to talk to people, I'm very happy to help people, I think lecturers kind of got onto that quite quickly. And so I did quite a lot of work around the university. I was an ambassador, so I was going into schools all the time. I was doing the open days, so I would be with the PE department on open days.
Yeah.
I worked at the Tudor Health Centre,
Okay.
so I worked on the reception there for a couple of years. I was just always around.
Yeah.
And I think some people got their backs up because I'm always here.
Can't get rid of
Literally,
it.
I'm like the furniture.
Do you not have a home to go to?
And now he's back for a podcast.
Yeah.
The cheek of him.
But if I didn't do that, I know that I wouldn't have got the connections to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so, although I know it might have got up some people's backs, I know that it helped me to build solid relationships with the people that I thought I needed to. So I knew that I wanted to be a lecturer. So why wouldn't I stick close to the lecturers?
Yeah, of course.
And that wasn't me using them.
No.
That was me building a relationship so I could gain information from them, gain experience from them. How do they do things? What they think I should do, how I should present myself here, what I should go away and learn, what experience. I sat down with Melissa, who was my head of department at the time.
She still is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I said to her, these are my aspirations. I'd like to be a lecturer, etc. And she said, the masters would be a minimum, the prospect of going on to do a PhD, that sort of thing, and it's difficult to get in because there's low staff turnover, that sort of thing. Didn't put me off, but I took on board what she said. I've got friends within the department still one of them plays for my handball team.
Okay.
And I still talk to a lot of the influences. So a big influence on handball was one of the lecturers called Lazo Nemeth, who's now retired and he's Hungarian, so he's back in Hungary. A really nice gesture for me was that I gave him one of our first pieces of kit. Presented that to him, say thank you. So I got some really nice photos of him back in Hungary with this kit of our handball kit. So I think there's nice things that you can do, but I would never say I was a brown nose.
No.
I was just honest.
Yeah.
Honest, open, and asked questions and asked for feedback and acted on that really.
I think it's so good as well. Like I can definitely agree with you with what you said. Like just ask questions, stop being afraid to ask questions, and like all the lecturers that based on my experience, have been fantastic. If it's just a quickie question via email, they'd get back to me within a few minutes. Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's easy to say on a Chichester podcast.
It is easy to say.
But they are fantastic because it's such small classes.
Yeah.
It's such a small university. You are not just a number.
No.
You are a name, and I've always found them to be so gracious with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one who pegs them with emails constantly, and they always get back to me and have the time for me. So being a sponge, that's really helpful.
Definitely. I would email a few questions, but again, because of my lack of interest in technology, I would just go up. They have an open door policy.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I would just go up if they were there. If they weren't there, then I'd email. If they were there and they were available, just have a conversation. They'd always welcome me in, sit down.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say about the questions is make sure you think about the questions before. Make sure you think, is the answer to this question somewhere that they've already given me? Because if you're going to that lecturer who's already told you the question, or for instance, it's on the what is it? Moodle.
Yeah.
If it's on the Moodle,
it's all on the Moodle page.
Just check that first.
That before.
Because it looks a bit embarrassing if they've gone to that effort, and obviously coming from the lecturing position, there is a lot of effort that goes into creating a scheme of work, and if you put the information out there, it's just laziness to not look at it, and then to go to that extra effort of taking up that lecturer's time for a question that the answer's already out there.
Yeah.
So, and again, it just makes you look a bit bad.
Makes you look a bit shoddy, doesn't it? I think if you genuinely overlooked something or not noticed something, it's different. But if you've just, like you say, if you're not taking the time to do it, and then you just think, this is a quick way around it, I'll ask something. It's all on the Moodle page.
Yeah.
And I think on that, coming in as a mature student, I think you have to come in with how you want to present yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want to present yourself as a professional, as someone that has, particularly for me, I wanted to be in that department. And yet if I was to come and ask silly questions that the answers are there, that doesn't make me look good. No. So I think you have to sit down sometimes and think, okay, how do I want to present myself? How do I want people to see me? I think that really will help shape
Absolutely
what you do and your actions and all of that.
Yeah,
I really think that.
No,
That's really helpful. So James, there's a current student here. Look at them, aren't they very good looking? And you'd like to tell them one piece of advice. What piece of advice would you give them?
Work hard. Get your head down. Take an interest in what you do. If you've got no interest, and with the PE degree, it's basically like a triangle. So it starts out really broad. So you've got your psychology, your physiology, your motor learning, your practical, and all of that. It might not be everything you want, which is why I chose psychology. So I went from doing everything, and I didn't enjoy all of it, to then progressing up the triangle to the top, where psychology is what I wanted to do, coaching was what I wanted to do. This is where I go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's understanding the areas where maybe you're weaker or that you're not as interested, but still working hard, because that incorporates your overall degree. However, understanding the areas that you really are interested. I know it's difficult. You know, I spent a lot of time in schools as the one of the ambassadors, which is helping out, basically selling uni to college students. You know, why come to Chichester? And it amazed me how much information there was, because when I was at school, I got sat down in year 11, I think it was, no, maybe year 9, so I had to choose our GCSEs, and we had a computer, and it was like a 100 questionnaire thing, and it came out that I wanted to be a police officer. Okay. So I haven't been a police officer. And I never,
One thing you haven't done.
one thing I have actually applied, but they wouldn't have me. So that was basically all the support that we had at school. And I remember when I was at school, I didn't go see a university once.
No.
And now people are going to see 4, 5, 6 universities.
Yeah.
And so coming into this role, it shocked me how much support, and actually I think it's too much. There's too much option. There's so, because every university, all right, there are some universities that are specific for one thing, but generally a lot of universities, if you pick a generalist subject, every university would do it. So I used to say, unless it wasn't specific, I'd say that just think about the area, think about where you're going to live, affordability, transport, comfortability. You know, we're at Chai, we're a campus university, very close-knit, small. Yes, that might have negatives, but for me, I loved it. You know, you could walk around this thing in 5 minutes. It's fantastic. But then you go to somewhere like Portsmouth, which is where I did my business degree out of. And it's a city university, and I had to be in one place at one time, and then halfway across the city at another time. I didn't enjoy that at all. And you didn't really have that connection with people, you know. So, I would say that it's a difficult situation being in college, trying to decide what you want to do. Be prepared for that to change, you know, and for a lot of the students on my course it did. Obviously mine was changed because of environmental aspects in terms of lack of students, so there was no need for the jobs. Life does change, but there is so much opportunity out there. I think my best advice was, yes, work hard when you're at university, but be prepared that this might not work out. But there is something else out there. And if you work hard now and you gain experience now, then who knows what the world will hold for you.
No, absolutely.
You know?
Amazing.
Yeah. No. James, would so any of your degrees, your sort of business, your sports one, or your masters, why would you recommend any of them to an applicant?
At Chichester?
At Chichester.
It's the people here. For me, I don't think the department has lost too many. I know many of the lecturers on the football course as well, and they're all just great. They all just care.
They do.
They care because they're professionals in their field. And I think that's what's key. As long as you can see them as that, and you can, like you said about being a sponge, that's what you need to be at university. Let's be that sponge in the area that you want to be in. And I think really to showcase me is only a highlight and an inspiration from this university.
Yeah.
Because it gives you opportunity. I mean, a lot of opportunity was my own effort as well.
Yeah.
Going into schools, that didn't. The university didn't help with that. However, the university did help in many other areas. So,
exactly. Yeah, I think the knowledge from some of them here is unreal.
Yeah.
And like you say, you've got to be a sponge to properly sort of appreciate what they know, and that can then sort of instill into yourself as well.
Yeah.
I think you get the being on campus, being at university, feeling like an adult.
Yeah.
And it's just having that opportunity to try and be the adult that you want to be. And if you're not sure what that adult wants to be, then just try things.
Yeah.
Be prepared to fail. I failed tons of times. I remember going into schools or even just doing some coaching sessions, particularly with my own business, and thinking that just didn't work. So because I don't know everything. And, as much as university helps do planning and all that, you just have to get out there and try things, try, fail, reflect, and learn from it. I think my biggest trait that I've probably come, other than the professional side and the communication side, is the ability to reflect. Because if you can't reflect, whether it's positive or negative, I can't move on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, reflecting after my jobs I have now is a big thing, because I don't know, if you take a patient, for instance, and we get a lot of things like chest pain, for instance, it's a very kind of broad thing that people can get, but it's very individual to people. A lot of the symptoms are the same. However, how that affects an individual is individual to them.
Yeah.
So it's important that you reflect on every job, just like I reflect on every coaching session that I do, because something in there can be improved, and I do it every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And I ask people, how was that?
Yeah.
What can I have done better here?
Yeah.
I think for my role at the club, I ask specific people, because if I go and just ask generally, or I try and make myself look in a weaker position, then that wouldn't be a good look for me if I'm looking for that authoritative figure, because at the end of the day, I'm the chairman of the club, I'm the head coach. I've still got to look that authoritative figure.
Yeah.
And if I'm asking every individual every single time, how could I have done that better? It doesn't make it look good.
No.
So it's asking the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
But I have a very, similar to how they have here, very open door concept. If someone wants to come and talk to me, come and talk to me. If there's an issue, talk to me. I'm not an angry person.
No.
I'm not big, shouty.
Yeah.
I'm quite calm and collected, and I'll just have a conversation with someone.
Fantastic.
But at the same time, I will also stamp my authority if something is wrong.
Of course.
I've written all my club policies, procedures, how I expect people to act at my club. If they don't, I ask them to leave, because this is my club, my vision, and this is how I expect you to act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, this whole idea of respect and discipline, it's really starting to show dividends with my players now, because there's a bit of a thing going around where referees aren't as honest, or might show a bit biased, or they're just not looking at things, and can be very frustrating in handball. Over the years we've had so many people get upset, get angry, shout at the keeper, shout at the referee, etc., and get sent off. And I've learned from that. I've learned from the experience of other teams, of my team. And I've very much built over the years a level of respect, a level of discipline that we just get on. We can review afterwards, but we show that discipline, that we are not going to be disrespectful. We don't badmouth. We don't give any abuse.
No.
We get on with our job. And again, a lot of that comes from the psychology, because if you're letting frustrations boil over, you're going to get a negative performance.
Yeah.
Okay?
Really.
Simple, really, really simple.
Yeah.
So if you keep everyone focused, on track,
Yeah.
that's the way to progress. And so I have got a lot from my masters and my PE courses. They do influence, even though I'm not getting paid for what I'm doing. It has a massive influence on how I run my club. And that gave me the confidence. Really did.
Amazing. James, you've probably got to wrap up. You've been so generous. You've given us so much. Thank you.
That's okay.
But I've got a burning question. I'm sure Paddy's thinking it too. You know, if you're going to cook Paddy and I a meal, what you cook?
Roast lamb.
Roast lamb. You know what? That is my favourite type of. Oh, I love it.
That's my death row.
Oh, honestly.
Hopefully I never get on there, but if I do, it's roast lamb. Roast lamb with profiterole rolls.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even know that was an option. That sounds amazing. Tremendous. James, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of your degrees as well.
Thank you.
James.
Cheers.
Paddy, that was really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
Very generous, wasn't he? Gave us loads there.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we could synthesise that. What one thing would you take away from speaking to James?
From James, I think it's quite commendable how much he's done.
Yeah.
And how I thought his advice and just how he's really used his opportunities, and he's made the most of his skills and what he knows his skills are to really get him to where he is today. I thought it was unreal. But yeah, and with regards to the sort of multiple degrees and qualifications he's got, it's unreal. I wasn't expecting him to come out and say I've got 3 degrees.
No, and I wouldn't want to look at all the zeros on a student loan, but he clearly has got so much out of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely something I take away, actually, that he's, there's so much talk, isn't there, about, particularly in school, your life is going to go down one line.
Yeah.
You're going to do this, then you're going to do that. And you're going to put your mind to this, and you're going to achieve it.
Yeah.
And you go down this one straight path, and that's just not how life works.
It seems so straightforward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When it's explained to you, like,
Doesn't it?
what you're going to do? Okay, sound, that's you then for the next 60 years. Do you know what I mean?
And that's just not how life works.
No.
And I think, but James is absolutely, he's got all these different experiences, the chefing, and all the different degrees.
Yeah.
And it's so cool how they are not just islands in his life, but actually all of them are so integrated into giving him the skills and the knowledge to be able to apply now in the roles he's currently doing. I think that's really helpful. That I'm doing football coaching. I will take so much stuff from football coaching that I'll be able to use whatever I do.
Yeah.
If that's football coaching or if that's something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. And as for that roast lamb,
I'm looking forward to it. I hope he's
a man of his word.
I hope so.
Do you think he is?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool.
Paddy, thanks so much.
Yeah, nice one, Alex. Thank you.